So one thing I wanted to ask you is this whole area of video is new for so many people. I know I read today on eMarketer that in 2012 there's going to be a 40% increase in advertising in online video. It's going to be worth more than $3 billion in this 1 year.
Wow.
So what that means, presumably to your authors, is, well, how can authors position themselves to take advantage of that?
You know, I think that's a difficult question for a lot of authors because they're promoting their own work and, you know, budget is always an issue. But, I mean, you really do have to put your money where your mouth is, and I would really recommend that you go with a professional videographer and that you have the technical expertise that one expects from the television. Because eventually web channels are going to become actual TV channels.
Right, we're going to have 50% of people by 2016 are going to have web-connected TVs. So the quality has to be there.
And that's who they're going to look for to sort of lead this revolution. They're going to look for people who are comfortable on camera, who can speak easily and have a handle on what it is they're saying. And they're going to look for confidence, they're going to look for credibility, and I find it very difficult for people to do that on their own without some team behind them to back them up.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. I mean, what we've been doing with this series is we've been experimenting with the different things that we can do, and we've wanted to give tips to writers. So let's just cover one area. If a writer was to say to you, well, why can't I just take my iPhone and video myself and put that on, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say to them, if they're comfortable with the quality of it, you know, I think that, and if they really, again, are thinking about have preparation, it's not just putting a camera on you and sort of babbling away. You really have to prepare. You really want to create message consistency. You want to create credibility that people believe, and you also have to have the confidence to pull all of this off. I mean, the idea that we all snip on an iPhone and just chatter away is wonderful until you try to do it and you go, oh my God.
Maybe that's the answer. Is just try it and see what a mess it can make.
Try it and
see
you know,
how you like
and
it.
see what happens. You might love it.
Right.
And or you might have someone there who gives you some great pointers, and I say all the power to you. That has not been my experience because writers tend to be more introspective.
Yes.
They're not performers.
Yeah.
And so they often need help. And so, you know, my advice is to get help.
Yes. And one of the things that you do so well is, and I think this is a function of personality, is that you really need someone that you feel comfortable with, someone who appreciates the work that you're doing and can create a relaxed environment, because if you're tense, that doesn't work.
Yes, it really shows. I mean, and that's part of even how you hold yourself. And you know, what happens when the fear factor hits? You know, you have to know.
Which it does.
It certainly does. I mean, it does with all of us. You know, suddenly your voice dries up and you start stuttering and your hands start shaking. I mean, and as a professional actress, it would always come out of left field. You know, I'd be like, well, and you know, so you do have to learn how to do certain relaxation techniques, warm up your voice, you know, be aware that your body speaks for you. So even the way you hold yourself, people read that and it says something about you. So I mean, I think that it's expecting a lot of yourself to pull all of that together. I think we've seen too many reality TV shows.
or the very poor quality videos that there are around that you can watch, which those are not going to translate to the big screen TV in your living room. And I don't think they even necessarily translate to a desktop.
No, and you know, and I think you know, all the research is saying that things are rapidly changing. Rapidly changing.
So would you be able to advise an author as part of their promotional strategy on how to create a series of videos if they wanted to try and build traffic?
Yes, and particularly with authors who have a body of work. I mean, we've dealt with authors here who have, they have careers. And so it's easy to go from one aspect of their career into another aspect of their career. And for the new author, start building on that. My suggestion is do one video, put it on your website, get some feedback from us. Let us see who you are. We're fascinated by authors.
Yes, yeah.
I always want to know, how do they do it? How do they write this book?
Yes.
How do they, what is their craft? What's behind it? So I love to hear the personal stories of authors.
And if it's someone who perhaps is watching this video in China or India, I know that you do travel to consult, but how can someone who's far away get the benefit?
Well, they can certainly Skype with me. They can go to my website, and I'm happy to Skype with them. And I've done that. I've even really trained people on Skype, and there's always a way. I can send materials. And I can even recommend people. I have contacts in London, and I have contacts in France, so that this is a global exchange.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's always a way.
And would you say that this is for the author who is doing their first book as well as someone who has a body of work?
I really would. I mean, I think in today's world, if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, I mean, everyone's saying, not that books are passé, but print is certainly passé. The people are not going to read.
It's reduced, at least.
Yeah, it's greatly reduced if this is about you. People would rather see who the author is and what they have to say.
And what kind of resources do you have on your website? If viewers go to your website, what will they find there?
Well, they'll find all of what happens in a training, actually what I do. Also, what they will get as a result of video training as well. My pricing is there, and just all the testimony. I have a lot of information, probably too much information on my website.
I think, I'm thinking also of your newsletter, which I get.
Yes. Yes, they should
each time,
definitely.
No, each time I get Eileen's newsletter, it has something fresh in it, and it isn't like any other newsletter that I get. I get most of them, I get Galley Cat, I get Beat TV, Publishers Lunch, Publishers Week, all of them.
Yes.
And you're the only person that I've come across who's putting out this kind of information that authors need to be able to take control or, to find the team that they need.
Right, and they can get my newsletters of old, which really gives them detailed approaches to how to do a video, so that what the actual technique is involved in doing it.
Okay, and one author friend I have said that she did not want to put video on her homepage because she knew that her audience was young adult readers, and she knew that they would go straight to the video instead of reading the prose underneath. Right. So what would you say is a good solution to that? Well,
I would say if they even want to go straight to the video, that's a plus, isn't it? I mean,
it depends, I suppose.
I mean, I think today's young people, they're straight to video people.
They definitely are, I know. I thought maybe what she could do is make sure that the content of that video related back to the text.
Yeah.
So that she would come up with a story question that could only be answered by reading the book. So, we have to think creatively about
particularly
content.
with fiction, you don't want to give the story away. Right. And this is what I always say, you don't want it to be an exposition of what the story is. You've got to titillate people so that they want to know what the story is. And you really have to think, okay, and I've said this, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's so important. What do you want them to think, do, and feel as a result of seeing your video?
Think, do, and feel. Right.
You want them to feel that they like you. You want them to think that they've got to read your book, and you want them to go out and get it.
Ideally, to go
in the best world.
Yes. Okay. So today's cocktail is the Dawn Powell Dubonnet cocktail, and I know in America you say
Dubonnet.
You say Dubonnet and I say Dubonnet. However, it's Dawn Powell was a writer who was born in the late 1800s, and She died in 1965, and she was one of the early female satirists. And she was a short story writer and novelist, and her diaries became very popular in the late 1990s. So Eileen's
Okay,
going to...
well, here's to Dawn and to all those undiscovered writers. Okay,
Yes.
we're going to put 1.5 ounces of Dubonnet.
Are we sloshing?
We're sloshing pretty much into one of these lovely glasses,
Okay.
and we're going to add to that an
Are you
ounce
doing
and a half
one for
of
me?
gin.
Are you just pouring for yourself?
This is for me, darling. I don't know about you. No, this is after a long day of shooting. No. Now we're going to put.
If I say please.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, can I have
Please,
more?
can I have one?
Yes, you can. And now we're going to put approximately 1.5 ounces of gin.
Yes, another
Okay.
slosh.
Another slosh. And we're going to actually put some
God, it
garnish
smells
on
strong.
this.
It's that gin when it...
Whew.
Yes.
Gin, people are not... and I'm going to actually kind of squeeze a little because I think that
Are
makes
you
it nice.
your experience with making cocktails? Do you know?
I'm experienced.
That was very
in drinking
professional looking.
cocktails.
With the way the lemon went round, that was very lovely.
No, I used to. It was very popular Dubonnet. I don't know, in the late 80s.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes. So
I remember there used to be an advert for it on the English telly when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
And it was very sophisticated, Dubonnet.
all right. So this is Dawn's drink, and here's to Dawn and all the unrecognized
Chin
authors.
chin. Indeed. And to you out there, if you are an unrecognized author at the moment, this is the final one in our series of 5. So I hope that you've enjoyed them. Keep writing, keep the faith, find a group that you can work with and where you can support each other, and find a team, people who can help you. And here's to you. Thanks for joining us.